All right. Well, as all of you know, I believe I'm Nicole DeMeo, and I'm joined by my business partner, Jeanine Moss, and we're your facilitators for today's unboxing growth discussion. And we have a really fun one for you coming up today. Just a few words about Leadership Global. We're Leadership Global members ourselves. And if you want to learn more about this supportive and trusting community of women and men with the C-Suite network all over the world, just reach out. Leadership Global is designed to help executives like all of us grow and scale our businesses. And so to, focus on facilitating success in community, in partnership. And via Leadership Global, you'll receive a lot of support and a really influential and highly connected community of business leaders that can help you with your business development, pursue your purpose, and really dramatically increase your success. So we invite you to reach out to us or to Linda Fisk if you'd like to learn more about Leadership Global and the C-Suite network. So another way we like to kick off these discussions is with the Leadership Global Credo, because we think it sets a really wonderful precedent. And we invite you to cultivate authentic relationships. That's another reason to put your name, your company name, your LinkedIn, how you feel about 2023 in the chat, so you can really cultivate relationships during this session. We invite you to act with courage. We invite you to dedicate yourself to your path, to be a lifelong learner. So if you're here with us today, chances are great you are one, and in part of this community, and we really invite you to celebrate each other. So let's jump in.
Okay.
All right, today's unboxing growth is all about 2023 marketing predictions, and it's an open mic session. So as much as we are going to touch on these predictions for 2023, we would like you to chime in and let's have a discussion around them, albeit maybe a little bit of a brief one, because we've got a few to cover. We've got a lot of things to predict for the coming year, and it's really exciting. And again, if you have not already, please add your name, your company name, your LinkedIn, and how you feel about 2023 to the chat. Just a little bit about us and our firm, Outfront Solutions. So Jeanine Moss and I have been business partners for 20 years, over 20 years. And this construct is our ikigai, and it's our reason for being and where we have meaning. And these concentric circles give you a good feel for how we operate in the world in the many different ways that we work with partners and clients and community members like all of you, to really help organizations with reaching their ultimate results and objectives and their purpose. Really, really important. So to stay in touch with us, our URL is outfront.solutions, and then our LinkedIn is there. And on Outfront Solutions, you can also book a call with us there. So let's jump in, shall we?
So we thought this would be a nice way to kick off, just to put things in perspective. I recently got a couple of new puppies, and I realized that everything I'm learning or I've ever learned about life, you can be reminded by your puppies. And one of those things is pattern recognition. Those puppies know when I'm going to go into the kitchen. They know if I'm getting in the car, going for a walk. And, it's amazing how accurate they are. They know before I do. And it's the same thing with trend watching, right? I mean, it's really about seeing signals in the marketplace and recognizing different patterns that you've seen over time. And Nicole and I have been at this for many, many years. So we have this big database, and we're always looking at things and reading things and observing things and watching people's behavior and what they do and they say and they think. And then there's a match. And that's really what we're going to talk about today is some of the matches, some of the things that we've been seeing matching up and elevating and becoming more frequent and seeing across more and more things. And that's what we're going to observe with you today in regard to our trends. Nicole, anything to add to that?
No, let's jump in.
Okay, here we go. But before we do, we just do like to check in and see how everybody's feeling. And I know we talked about 2023 and some of the optimism there, but would anybody like to share anything about how they're feeling today, either within, in the open mic, because this is an open mic session, or in the chat? How's everybody doing this morning?
Thumbs up. All right. You can speak.
It's a holiday season. Are y'all feeling holiday-ish yet?
Yeah, you in the spirit?
Nancy, you look like you are.
All right.
So I'll hop in for you. I am extremely optimistic about the next, 2023. And I think the reason is that great companies get started in downturns, that there's this defensive position that happens. So fear tends to rise in these kinds of time frame. And to the extent that we actually rise above that, we have, in a way, less competition. We can actually use our creativity to move things in directions that may not have been as easy when everything's going well. And so I think, Jeanine, to follow up on your pattern recognition, if we can recognize our pattern of when are we in fear, but when are we the most creative, right? And so there's no such thing as a good time or a bad time. It's the meaning you give to the time, and it's a choice. And so I would just encourage everybody to choose that. Yes, there are things going on out there externally, but we have a choice about how we want to live and what we want to bring into the world. And that's our opportunity.
Beautiful.
And to your point, Dan, it all starts with recognizing what you're thinking, feeling, and that's why emotional intelligence is so important. And we're going to talk about that. So let's pop in. We're going to go over these predictions. These are some of the things we want to talk about today. We want to talk about partnerships. We want to talk about empathetic marketing. So that's taking that empathy that you're talking about and applying it. Trusted communities. B to H is business to human. We'll explain what we mean by that. And we're going to talk too about technology and what's happening in it, because we do a lot of work in technology and we're seeing tremendous, it's always accelerating, but we'll talk about that. And then the importance of loyalty and retention and why it's important right now and why we're seeing those signals really amplified. So let's pop in to talk about partnerships and affiliates.
One
Nicole?
of my favorite topics on the entire planet. I love partnerships. I love partnerships for a million reasons, but I love partnerships in 2023 and the power of partnerships and affiliates, as it's really important that we all jump in and lean into community. This is why Leadership Global and the C-Suite Network are such phenomenal organizations to find and create partnerships and alliances. This is how we grow our businesses. 90% of our referrals end up coming through partnerships, and partnerships in 2023, along with, you'll see later, loyalty, customer loyalty and retention are really the key ways that we will continue to grow our businesses. And so we are getting creative every day in and around how we might partner with organizations such like all of yours. There are meaningful ways to do so that add value, that help you with growing your business, that help you reach your objectives. So we're really, really leading into the importance of business partnerships, especially during rough economic times, and especially during a digital world this is how we form connection. And so we're really excited about, forming and getting really creative around partnerships and affiliates and alliances in the coming year.
And I just want to kind of outline some of the ones that we do. So we have technology partnerships where we'll partner with the technology, we'll implement that technology, we'll support it with services so that people can implement that technology. We also do reseller partnerships because sometimes we bring in, we create arrangements because we know we're going to use that technology all the time. So we'll make an arrangement with a technology provider and they'll give us some commission because of the service we're going to provide to everybody in the food chain there, in the value chain. We also do co-marketing partnerships, where we either go to market together or sometimes we will subsidize the marketing of somebody else who promotes our product, right? We do production partnerships, we do human resource partnerships, and affiliates. And just to give you some kind of an example, we had an accessories company, and we would do affiliate marketing where all these different websites would sell our products. They would promote them on their websites and give them email promotion. And then everything that came through there, about affiliate marketing, everything that came through that, they would get a percentage for. But it wasn't until it was sold. So you can really afford to roll out a lot of promotion through affiliate marketing. So we really wanted to point that out because in a recession, things are getting tight already. This is a great way to get the promotion and the support that you need without a huge revenue hit.
And expand your reach. Absolutely.
Yeah. Would anybody like to pop in on partnerships? Anybody have any observations to share about that or thoughts on partnership marketing and affiliate marketing 2023 thoughts?
I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
So this is Nancy. There are sort of different, I guess, thought processes on affiliate marketing when it comes to product sales. Mm-hmm. And I've seen where some people say, okay, you've given me Nicole, I've acquired Nicole, you get 50% of that sale, but anything else that I get with Nicole, you get nothing else. Or they continue the relationship on sort of a Lehman form, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 type of thing. What do you recommend, and how do you manage that?
Well, it's so different for your different types of products, right? Yeah. And it also has to do with the longevity, and it also has to do with what you do to support the partnership or affiliation, right? So with the products, for example, that was just straight out, you get X%, everything that you sell through you get X% so easy, right? But other things you'll negotiate up front, right? For what you'll do, what you'll get, how long it will go, how many levels of referral, so that's all kind of negotiation depending on the size of it.
Yeah. That's a deep topic. And it's also one that we can absolutely, dive in deeper offline. But yeah, I was in the ad tech world for many years. And so we had deep and wide affiliate relationships there. And I will say that as much as a lot of times you come up with the strategy for it, you have to see how and listen to the market to see how it's working and resonating. And invariably, we would have to significantly course correct on it. So,
and that's the same with larger corporations, because I'm pre-conversation sort of early and when you've got general counsels involved, you don't want them to own you.
That's for sure.
That's a little challenge.
And so what we would do is just basically have in the contract that we could, renegotiate, based on market acceptance. So encourage you to do that.
The thing about partnerships that I think is really cool for growth are a couple of things. One, a partner may have a core competency that you don't have, and to take advantage of it.
Yes.
Two, it can dramatically expand your channel of distribution. So,
Mhm.
for example, I have a product and I want to sell it in college bookstores, right? Well, I could go to every college bookstore on my own, or I have a non-competitive product to the stationery guys who are in all the college bookstores. And I can set up a partnership with them where they actually become my sales force. They have the overhead, they have the benefits, they have a lot. And so all of a sudden I can open new product, new geography, new channel of distribution by, coming on with that. So I think the partnership part, the affiliate part is more difficult to me because a lot of what I see is how many are on your list, how many are on your list. I don't really know you. The partnership thing I really like a lot because I think it's professionalized. That's
Yeah.
just my bias.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's keep rolling because it's 9:20 and we only have a few more minutes to get through 6 more. So, I think that it's imperative that we lead with empathy in all of our business dealings. Empathy has come into the C-suite. The C-suite is speaking to empathy. Thank goodness. We've all been through a lot of trauma, not only with the pandemic, but, with the social justice and economic situation. And so now is really an imperative time to lead with empathy. And we encourage you all and all of us to do so in our marketing. And, we have spoken a lot about emotional intelligence and making sure that we're creating emotionally intelligent connections and experiences with people. Right now, that's going to continue to resonate well for people. And yeah, I'm sure Jeanine will have a few examples of things as well.
Well, there's celebrated really big things just to illustrate what can happen when you don't demonstrate emotional intelligence. Things like Kentucky Fried Chicken, with its finger licking good campaign that was all over the place right after COVID started, right? People went crazy, just about that idea. And Kim Kardashian flying off on her jet to the Bahamas with a whole bunch of girlfriends to feel normal. That got tremendous backlash, and the only reason I bring those up is they're extreme examples, but they make you think, what is the environment that I'm communicating in? And Nicole and I did a whole bunch of webinars on this topic during the pandemic as we were advising people about how to get through. But not only has it not abated, if anything, it has exploded. So it's one of the things that we're seeing literally everywhere and on everyone's lips, trying to pay attention to what how they're feeling, what their belief sets are. And what else we're seeing that now being institutionalized. Well, I think institutionalized is the wrong word, but what I mean is applied consistently across channels through technology. There, as you know, there's technologies that look at sentiment. There's technologies that can reveal different psychographic information. But now you can take that information and actually apply it across your digital marketing. And that's totally new. Yeah. And you're going to see just so much more of that going forward. So it's not only about knowing those things. Knowing those things was step one. Step two is applying them in an emotionally intelligent way in your marketing.
Yeah. And this is what helps you to form authentic connections with all your stakeholders, your customers, your partners, your investors, your, press, what have you. And this is what it means to have a truly sort of customer or, people-centric approach. Mm-hmm. And it's really about the people.
Any thoughts on the era of empathy? We think it's just getting started. We think this is going to become something that is just part of our life going forward. And this is kind of going to be a breakthrough year. You're going to see it everywhere. And there's going to be more ways to demonstrate that kind of, to know, to get a beat on it, and then to actually apply it. Any thoughts from anybody or questions or on the era of empathy?
All right, let's keep rolling.
Okay. Onward to talk about what's on all of our minds, which is really the issue of trust, right? And I don't know if any of you know about the Edelman Trust Barometer, but Edelman, a worldwide PR firm, has been doing this trust barometer for many, many years. I've been watching at least 10, 15 years. And it's just been a straight decline of trust across all of our politics, media, even NGOs, which was always surprising to me. But, it continues to plummet. And we know why. There's a lot of reasons. So the question is, what's going to happen? How are we going to adapt? How do you work in a world where you don't have trust, right? Where, I'm not going to hand you this bottle of milk until I got my hand on your money. We can't have that. That's not how societies really can function. So when we look at it and when we examine these kinds of things across different categories, what we see is, kind of the internet created this really massive communications channel, but it's now sort of narrowing down. So if you even think of like all the people who love Spider-Man, right, which is gazillions of people worldwide, well, that group, which used to be the fan base, is now into different fan bases. Some people like Spider-Man, some people like the villain, and those are becoming their own communities. And we see that across almost everything, where there's these subgroups forming. And we think it's all about trusted communities. This is kind of a different kind of example of the trusted communities, because, by the way, Leadership Network is a trusted community, right? If someone comes to you through Leadership Global, you go, oh, yes, I will accept your LinkedIn invite. Why? Because we believe that we have kind of a common belief and value set. And so immediately you're elevated above others. So I think this is a normal thing that we've seen before, but what we're seeing now is just this explosion of it. In other words, many, many, many communities and big communities breaking into smaller parts. And you also see technologies working on it. We have a colleague who's got something called the Trust Web Times. And what does she do there? Her whole mission in life is to give us control of our identities again, give us control of our personal data, so that we're willingly giving it versus it being kind of taken from us, right? So there's an enormous amount of activity in this area, and we just want to flag it for you because, as I'm sure you know, we all believe trust is the foundation of being able to interact and do business.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've all had our trust violated so strongly over the last years, right? We work with media a lot, and the media has, in so many ways gotten so strongly biased in different ways that, it's just, once again, it's a lack of trust. So who do you turn to? And we really see that communities are going to be even more important in 2023, that this is a place where we can really go to develop trust and connection. And I see, Nancy, in the chat, you said a lot of times people reach out to you on LinkedIn and you have no idea, who they are and where they're coming from. And so it's really important that we're leading with trust, that we're leaning into the organizations like Leadership Global and the C-Suite Network to know that we have this common ground.
And if you think about the elements of trust, you think about consistency. When you're consistent, people know what you're going to do next. They can predict it. That gives them a sense of comfort, right? So being super consistent, doing what you say, right? Following through, being timely. So as a brand, You can do all these things, which will create, will build that sense of trust that Nancy's talking about. And it isn't something done in a day, but somehow we all think that it should be. I should click on something and you should immediately trust me. So I think that's really an important thing too, is to understand that we're dating for quite a while before we get married.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So, again, in 2023, we see a growing importance of trusted communities, and this being a safe place for us to interact, do business, know that we're values aligned.
Mm-hmm. And that's why expressing your values as a brand is so important as well, right? People are looking for how to align and and whether you agree with them or not, or you're aligned with that stuff. Any thoughts on trust and trust now and the application of trust in the new world that we're building today?
Linda, do you want to expand on your comment there? I thought that was really lovely. Yeah. Oops.
Oh.
Looks like your sound is not working, Linda.
Right.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes. Working
Okay.
perfectly.
Sorry about that. I think my microphone was picking up my computer somehow. But, I think that it's so important to find a community that supports your unique definition of success. So everyone has a slightly different indication of what they're passionate about, what they're trying to accomplish, what their personal and professional breakthroughs are that they have anticipated for the next year. And I think it's so important to choose to be a part of a community of people that really have stopped to listen to what success looks like to you. And then they are going to surround you and give you access to the resources, the tools, the connections, the introductions, the learning, access to the media platforms or the funding opportunities that you need to be able to accelerate whatever your unique definition of success is. And, of course, I'm very bullish on Leadership Global because we have phenomenal members like both of you, Jeanine and Nicole, who, offer such incredible thought leadership, who take time to coach and teach and train. And it's really phenomenal to see that kind of ecosystem develop within a community. But again, I think that everyone owes it to themselves to find a community of leaders or a community of people that they feel as though those other people in the community have their back, that they are investing in their success.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Beautifully put, Linda.
Yeah. I want to add one other thing about media, because you kind of mentioned the different media too, is one of the things I think you're going to see with media is that they're going to be clear about their point of view. One of the great things about The Economist was they would always say, we think X, right? And before, the media would try to go like, oh, no, we don't have an opinion, which is almost impossible for a person not to have a point of view or some sort of place they're coming from. So I think you'll see in media and in all these communities that we're talking about a clear statement of who they are and what they believe in going forward.
Beautiful.
So let's talk about B to H. This is one of Nicole's and my absolute favorite topics. And the reason is because, when we started in marketing, we were encouraged to think that there was this B2B audience and then there was this consumer audience, and that they were different. And you had to talk to these people like business people, and there's other people you talk to in a different way. And both Nicole and I in our careers have early on recognized that we're really just all people and we should speak to each other as humans. And I'm going to let Nicole tell you who schooled her on that. And then, but before I do, I'll just tell you that how I got schooled on it is I was representing New York City tourism worldwide. And you never have enough money when you're working for cities and promoting them. And I needed to talk about what was new in New York. And I needed to reach a whole bunch of audiences. And I thought, how am I going to do this with my budget? And I thought, you know what? I'm going to create a publication called What's New in New York. And it's going to be targeted about all the great things about New York. And it's going to work for all my audiences. It's going to work for tour operators, travel agents, because they're people and they're going to relate to how I talk about the sites and the attractions and the hotels, etc. So I created this newspaper called What's New in New York, and I sent it to all my audiences, and it was an enormous success, and it was really economical. And that's when I first realized that you knew that you could, that was entirely possible and a great strategy for not spending huge amounts of money and for connecting emotionally and as people. So now I'm going to let Nicole tell you how she learned about that.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to work for Steve Jobs in my career. And, when we had 3 lifetimes with Next before we sold the company back to Apple. And that was all during the time that I worked with them. And we were an enterprise software company and an internet company selling to enterprises every day. And so our clients were like Nissan and, NTT and these huge corporations. But Steve really helped us all see that it was an imperative to communicate and market to the person, to the human inside. So, it's not just B2B and B2C and B2B to C, it's B to H. It's really business to human. And, this aligns with our prediction around empathy and just, the importance of, really being relational in in developing your relationship with that, stakeholder. And so, and he also schooled me on the fact that the messaging had to be understandable and really translated. We were into translating the business value such that he always said the daughter or son of the CEO could tell their father what the value proposition was, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that making that message really relational and human, even in a B2B situation, we think it's an absolute imperative moving forward in 2023.
And the reason we bring it up is now, having learned this quite a long time ago, is that B2B marketing is dramatically shifting right now. Right. So B2B is shifting digitally. Remember, we used to all go to conferences and events and meetings and such, and pandemic upended that, which sent everybody online. Right. So digitally and digital communications now have to adapt to this business to human imperative, we think, and we're seeing it. We're seeing this B to H thing showing up more and more in other companies, other points of view, and other methods of managing B2B marketing.
Yeah.
Any thoughts that anybody would like to dive in with? Questions, ideas, thinking?
Targeting the human.
Right.
This green.
Yeah, I think this is absolutely brilliant, because if I can bond with you, if I can create trust with you, if I can connect with you, then I really have something. And I think it's in our storytelling, in our narrative, where we're touching hearts and emotion. I look at so many things, and what I see is, and our company is a software company, and here's what we do. And it has nothing to do with me. It's all about them. And I think this is one of the ways of really creating competitive advantage, is getting out in front of this, particularly for those of us that are smaller businesses. So it's one thing if you're IBM, but if we don't have those kinds of budgets, and this framework of emotion can be in a video, it can be in a blog, it can be in an email, it can be everywhere. But as I think about core brands, every one of them to me has a story, and it's the story that I connect with, right? So I can connect with Nike and Phil Knight and being on a track and wondering what it would be like if I had a shoe and I'm in it with him. If all I see is a shoe with a thing on it, I don't care. Reebok doesn't do for me what Nike does for me, and it's in the story, and it's in the be like Mike, and it's in the different, right? All of those things. So I think this is huge.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to keep going because I feel it. Nick, want to talk about another of our favorite topics?
Yeah. Wow. Technology for all. MarTech has gone through an explosion, my friends. We have gone from having 150 tools in 2011 to having literally almost, and it's probably surpassed the 10,000 mark today. And so these technologies were once for the enterprise organizations, then rolled out to middle market companies, and now for startups, solopreneurs. So chances are great that each and every one of you, no matter the size of your organization, is dealing with a MarTech, marketing technology stack, that is bewildering, right? There are so many tools, and and all these tools are competing with each other. So it's hard to determine which is the right one when you get into any one of the areas where we leverage these tools, whether it's design and it's, using Canva or Adobe, or whether it's a CRM and you're looking at HubSpot or Pipedrive or Copper, it's just a bewildering amount of technology. And that technology in 2023 is absolutely only going to continue to grow and be out there for all. And one of the things that Jeanine and I are really focused on in 2023 is helping organizations sort through and understand the marketing tech stack, because there are people with all different generations in marketing who are having to leverage these tools. And it's just, we all need help. We need help. We're diving into these technologies and tools every single day, and we need the help. So, this coming year, we'll see a lot of consolidation. And you will see organizations like ours jumping in to really stand alongside leaders like you, and companies to sort through and understand the marketing tech stack, and really, translate that to business results.
Mm-hmm. And I just want to add that one of the really cool things is that these are really sophisticated technologies that were reserved for enterprise companies that are now in the cloud, software as a service. And so there'll be a big adoption in this year of those kinds of things. And we're probably all using MailChimp, HubSpot, like what Nicole listed off some of those things. But being able to plan and project marketing and marketing results, being able to predict what content will produce better results in each channel. This is all happening right now, and it's accessible to all of us. So that's it's really super exciting and amazing and super scary and overwhelming. So that's what we're going to be dealing with in 2023. And we're going to be part of dealing with that. And we're dedicated to helping people do that. Yeah. Any thoughts about technology or questions before we go to our next one?
All right.
Anyway, look for exciting stuff. Okay. Nicole, you want to talk a little bit about another thing that's going to be super important this year?
We have a theme here, people. If you've noticed, empathy, business to human, and loyalty and retention. So loyalty and retention in 2023 is going to be an imperative. There's nothing like an existing relationship or customer to help you grow your business. It is an exceptionally efficient way of continuing to grow, especially during times of economic downturn where customer acquisition can be expensive, right? So it's super important to lean into the business to human lean into the empathy, because it is all about building long-term lasting relationships that create a higher lifetime value of every relationship that you have. And so, we see this as an area of extreme focus and importance in 2023 as you determine new and different ways to grow your business, turn inward, take care of your existing relationships, your partners, your customers, your, media relationships, your investors, because they are the ones who will show up for you during challenging economic times. It's a good way to be anyway, right? And we talked about how during times like these, and Dan, you mentioned this, that, these times like these can be very schooling, and they can help us to turn inward and perfect our practices and just be, much more customer centric. So that's what we're talking about here.
And this is a really good time to look at your customer success strategies, your customer service, your customer communications, their frequency, what's going in them, and asking yourself, what can I do with this group of people? Because I'm sure you've segmented your customers, right? When we approach a company, we always take a look at their kind of audiences in concentric circles. Who is the endemic group, the group that just absolutely has to have what our company, what our organization is putting out there? What's the next group? And, a lot of times employees are at the center of that. And if you ask yourself, what do I need to do with employees in order to make them loyal and retain them? Because we know that equals dollars, right? As well as making a happier life. But, so look at each of your groups and ask yourself, how do I strengthen this? How do I really go above and beyond, and really what's expected to stand out with them and keep them with me? And one of the other things that we see is, because we're working with a lot of companies that are preparing to exit, and they're building up their valuation, acquirers, M&A, they say, hey, how long have you had these customers? What kind of value do they have long term? Are we going to retain them once we buy your company? So that's another reason to really be cementing your relationships with everybody in your ecosystem.
And I've put a few stats in the chat, but just increasing customer retention by 2% is equal to cutting costs by 10%, right? It's just much greater efficiencies.
Mm-hmm. So, and it's the lowest hanging fruit. You know how to communicate with them. You've got permission to communicate with them. There's already a baseline of understanding and relationship and a desire there. So much to work with.
Yeah. Anyone have anything they'd like to say about the importance of loyalty and retention in 2023?
Again, really important because of the budget constraints that probably everybody's going to be under.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
Okay. So this is our kind of our bonus one, omnichannel branding. I think everyone here is really aware of the proliferation of channels. It's not just technologies to manage those channels, but it's the channels themselves, and everybody migrating off of Twitter to other ones like Discord. So there's a huge amount of channels that are being communicated in, and being consistent, because we talked about branding, right? We talked about branding is really about, frequency, reach, and consistency, right? And so how do you do that in the omnichannel environment, right? And that's going to be, that is an increasingly, highest priority for companies going forward, how to manage that whole process. And it's true for companies, and it's also true for personal brands, for us as people. So what we do with companies and in our personal branding practice with people is we go for the foundation. We build the foundation first, which is really the communication, who you are, what you do, why you do it, your values, all of that stuff getting nailed. And it is the basis of your content, right? And then the question, and you create a foundation of content, including those pieces, and then start distributing across these channels and managing that distribution and evaluating that distribution across the channels. So that's what the challenge is in 2023. And I just want to also add the understanding the customer journey has never been more important either, because the customer journey has become so complex, right? First, they have to discover you, and then they have to consider you, and then they have to choose you, and then you have to be validated. So there's these steps on the journey that you need to be really aware of, and then map the various channels to those that progression, right? And then you have to have content to go into that relates to each aspect of the journey and manage it. So it's a really complex environment that we're living in today. And it kind of harks back to the technology for all. There's no other way to manage it. We couldn't possibly do this without technology. So it comes back to which technologies, how are you going to employ them, who's going to employ them, what goes into them. And that's really we're even though omnichannel branding and marketing has occurred for a little while, it's really the challenge is becoming just more complex. Nicole, do you want to add anything to that thought?
Just that again, the theme of today, these sort of all meld together, and thoughtfully, and it's so important that we're appealing to emotions and across the marketing mix, and in these omni-channel environments, and a lot of people, I think, have a challenge with which channels to dial up or dial down, and that's, a lot of what we end up working with our clients on. And there's even technology now that will help tell us, if this is your objective, your OKR and KPI, what is it that you need to dial up or dial down across the marketing mix? So, things are exponentially more knowable, and we can predict so much more. But just the importance of looking at the whole universe of where people touch your brand and experience your brand, as not only for an organization, but also for people, as really important to be super strategic about that and leverage technologies, as Jeanine was speaking about.
And if there's one place to start, it's with your messaging foundation, which includes the story that Dan was talking about, right? So make sure that your foundation is in place, and then you can take the steps necessary to distribute and manage it. Would anybody like to?
Can I add one more thing?
Yeah,
please.
So number 8 that I think underpins the 1 through 7 for 2023 is, what is your level of energy? And what is going to happen in 2023 for a lot of people? They're going to get sucked in to all of the negativity, and they are going to deplete their energy. And so if you're going to have empathy and you can raise energy, you'll bond and connect. If you have energy in B to H, you'll bond and connect. And I think that's really a critical piece of all the things you're talking about. When I see a brand, what do I feel? Do I have any energy with it? Right? And it sounds kind of amorphous, but I think that's a key to what you all are talking about. And so I'll just leave it at that.
I love that so much. I am all about I just put in the chat, what is your level of energy to raise it? Because I think as leaders, we do need to provide that high level of energy, and, and that positive perspective. And it's not to say it if it's not authentic to you. But seeing the possibility and seizing the possibility is something that's really important that we do, how we show up, and we demonstrate that leadership, and people will align. The right people will align and they will in-train with us. And Jeanine and I have seen it over and over again. We have the most incredible client base because we are in alignment on purpose. We are in alignment on our energy level. We are in alignment on our perspective. And so therefore we will continue to grow, together and co-create together.
I think seizing the possibilities is a nice way to kind of think about 2023, right? There's always so many possibilities that we're choosing from every day, every minute, and obviously so many that we can't act on, right? Because we can't act on everything. But one of the things that Nicole and I try to do always is when we see a possibility, we go for it. We try to make it happen, and we'll put a lot of energy behind it. And, my daughter has this saying, she says, I never regret anything I do, but I only regret the things I didn't do, And I think that's a really good attitude and a good guiding principle as we go into 2023, because they're all going to be there. There will be tons of opportunities. And so how do we put our energy towards them, right? And see them to fruition. Nicole and I are super busy all the time, and yet when we see another possibility, we add it to our list. And it takes time and energy, but it's really worth it, and it's exciting.
Yeah. Jeanine, do you want to show the next slide so we can let everybody know about so this is how you stay in touch with us. We'd love to continue the conversation. Reach out if you want to book a meeting, you can do that right on the website. And then the next slide shows that our next unboxing growth for 2023, we're really excited to announce that unboxing growth will continue in 2023. Thank you so much, Linda, for providing this opportunity for us to be in community. And so our next one is on January 20th. And it's the focus is 3 ways to build a trusted brand. So unboxing growth and to keep you out front is our theme for 2023. And we look forward to engaging with you there. If anyone has anything else that they'd like to say in the last couple minutes, this may be the last time that we meet before the end of the year. And we just want to wish you well and good luck. I'll quote Ram Dass, if you think you're enlightened, just spend a week with your family. And I say that with pure love. I think sometimes we all need a little good luck to navigate with families during this time. So we wish you that. And, just thank you so much for being with us this year and being in community and creating all the possibility and opportunity. And wanted to leave you with that.
Wonderful.